All right, listen, everywhere today I've gone, everybody's had an opinion on this. And when I gave my initial thoughts on this, I got tuned up by my wife even on this. So everybody has got their 2 cents on this. And frankly, on this one, everybody's opinion is just as good as anybody else's. Let's go to the phone lines right now. Thanks for holding. Let's start off in the Bronx. We got Frank on the line. Frank, you have any problem with pro athletes, multimillionaire guys, not being there, just being there for the birth of the child, but staying for multiple days when they're in the middle of a season?
He should be able to go anytime and have nobody say anything about it, because when your kid is born, that's the bond you have with your kid. You can play baseball anytime, but seeing your kid being born, you would never see that again.
You're right. And on that one, there's little debate. You can't recreate the issue. And as Michael very aptly put, it will be one of those you will hear about for the next 20, 30 years if you're so fortunate that you're even allowed back into the home. Let's go to Jim and Ramsey. Jim, you got another perspective on this, right? Do you have any problem with what Murphy did? Go ahead, Jim. You're on the line.
Hello?
Go ahead, Jim.
If everything went with the birth, great. The whole thing is, this isn't an office. He's a starting ball player. He made an error today that kind of messed the game up. When are you going to show the error? That's what I'm wondering about. It's not an office. You can't pick up the slack. He's a starting ball player getting paid a starter's salary. 1 day off, if the pregnancy, the birth went great, no problem with it. You know, something went wrong, yeah, I can understand taking some more days off. But he's a starting ball player getting paid a starter's salary. And I don't care what they say about the Mets this year if they stink, because I'm a Yankee fan. I'm not the owner paying all this money out to a guy that, you know, is taking off.
Okay, well,
I'll point out that he had the blessing of management and his boss.
I don't know why there should be a distinction if you're the 25th guy or you're the starter, you know. But anyway, what about that?
I mean, there's a little more weight on your shoulders, and there's more. The team's relying on you more if you're a starter. I can buy that argument as perhaps another argument against what Daniel Murphy did. I don't agree with it, but I think he was right to do what he did. But I can understand some of the frustration out there in Mets land. It's going to be a hard enough season as it is.
Is that because they're 0-3? Or what if they won the first 2 games? Do you think it'd be there any different reaction?
That's a great point.
But listen, I like Boomer and Carton, okay? So I'm not, but the idea that we even mentioned the idea of scheduling a C-section, to do a surgery here, to coordinate your calendar so you don't miss a game, that's cuckoo for Cocoa Puff.
Well, there have been ball players who scheduled their entire family planning around this. I mean, my all-time favorite player is Cal Ripken, and he scheduled. I mean, they basically planned their pregnancies so that
I think it's responsible. I think it's better for you. You have time to spend at home, right? I mean, he's gone. They're gone for 2 weeks at a time for road trips and everything else. I get it, but. I'm glad I gave it a little bit more thought than the initial one this morning. Let's go to Mary.
The call from your wife. They probably did a lot of that.
Probably. It was just like, well, this morning, it's amazing. I won't even say the names. Certain morning talents on certain networks who don't have an opinion on anything, okay? This one, they were ready to jump out of their skin. These women were going to kill these guys, right? Because the idea that somebody suggested that they have a C-section to accommodate their baseball schedule, I think in the end, a lot of people say it's just a game, you know? It is.
At the end of the day, it is just a game,
I'm waiting for the Lindsay Lohan and Paris Hilton tweets on this, if it hasn't happened already.
Deep thoughts. All right, let's go to Mary. Mary's calling us from Long Island. Mary, go right ahead. You're on the line. Thanks for joining us.
Well, I think he's going to be a father for the rest of his life. I think that's the important thing. I agree with him. She had a C-section. That's difficult. And all the complaints are from men who haven't gone through childbirth. If they did, they would understand it. And I think the sportscasters are egotistical to butt into somebody's private life.
Mary, the voice of reason, thank you very much. Let's go to David in Summit, New Jersey. David, what do you think?
I can't believe that they're actually talking about this publicly. There are HIPAA laws that provide privacy for families when they have a medical issue. And we should not be talking about this. This is between him and his wife and his family. It's none of my business. It's none of your business. I have 2 kids. I can't imagine not being there for the birth of my 2 kids. And I find it offensive that we were having this conversation.
This is even a clarification. I don't think it's significant, but I didn't hear anybody saying he shouldn't have been there and missed the birth of the child. The question is, how long does one stay? But an interesting point was raised. Just because somebody or the team puts out that the mother and child are fine, they're not going to put out if it was a complicated pregnancy or that the child was on support or whatever. They don't want that. For the very reason the caller just said, they're not going to publicly put that out, and that was conveyed today. Another sports reporter was saying that a similar situation happened years ago, and a player pulled him aside and said, well, why are you giving me grief about this? You have no idea what I went through. He said, well, the team said. He goes, what was the team going to say? My wife was actually, or my child actually, there was touch and go there for a while. You don't know what's going on in my world. And when I heard that, there's a compelling point to it. Think about what we're talking about. We're telling somebody.
But the fact of it is disclosed because you have to put him on the paternity roster. It's a roster move, and they bring somebody else up.
About the condition of the mother and the child.
If you're out 3 days or if you're out for an extended period of time, I bet most teams would disclose why.
You know, it's because people pay a ticket or they buy the merchandise that they think that they can comment not just on the birth, on the person's family planning, also how long that person should grieve for. Think about all the times an athlete will leave because there's a death in the family. And all of a sudden, it's a cousin and not a mom or a dad. And then fans say, hey, it's just a cousin. Why did he miss the game tonight? Just think about how liberated, I think, ignorantly, so many of us can be talking about these people because we view them not as real people, but as just performers.
Richard, but now we know why the athletes don't care what we think for exactly what's being said right now.
Yep.
I mean, how dare you? Yeah. Your wife has complications from a C-section. It's major surgery. Yeah. And are you going to play tonight?
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Let me just say, if he played and there was a problem or if he fumbled something or there was a missed opportunity, these same fans would have said, he should have stayed at home. He was playing as a distracted player.
We heard the guy saying, why aren't you showing the error? Like, okay. You know what? Hopefully after this conversation, I will say I've been very pleased by the calls here tonight. Maybe not so much Jim. Okay, please don't forget to weigh in on our question here. You know how to do so. Again, send us your reaction online. Question right there on the screen for you. Okay, coming up next, we're going to have a little talk of the table here, a few different topics, including the guy on your screen, a fixture on late night, a fixture in New York, if you will. Well, he is getting ready to throw in the towel. Next year will be his last year hosting the late night show, and we're going to sound off on the panel about this and other topics, including who ought to have his gig. Stay with us. We'll be right back.